She is already dancing when his eyes open. Not performing. Not aware of an audience. Just moving, hips swaying in slow, private rhythm to whatever is playing through her earbuds, one hand holding his chart, the other tracing the air beside her like she is conducting something only she can hear. The monitors beep steady. The floor drips clean. The room is dim, and it is 2:47 in the morning, and Dr. Nyra Cade believes, completely, that her patient is asleep. He is not asleep. Ravian Kaur has not slept in 11 days. Not deeply. Not the way people sleep when they feel safe enough to let go. He lies against the white hospital pillow with both hands still at his sides and his eyes open just enough, watching her. Saying nothing. The way he has said nothing to every doctor, every nurse, every specialist this hospital has sent through that door since he was admitted. But he is watching her. She spins once, just once, a small unself-conscious turn on the linoleum, and then catches herself and looks at the chart and says out loud, to no one, "Okay, Nyra. Focus." Her voice is soft. A little embarrassed. A little amused at herself. The left corner of his mouth moves. Not a smile. Not fully. Just a shift. A fraction of something that has not moved on that face in 11 days. She does not see it. She finishes her notes, tucks the chart under her arm, pulls one earbud out, and looks at him the way she always looks at him, steady, without pity, without the particular careful distance every other physician maintains around a patient whose paperwork says do not press for personal information and whose room has 2 men seated outside it at all hours who are not hospital security. "Good night, Mr. Kaur," she says. She turns off the secondary light and walks out. The room goes quiet. He stares at the ceiling for a long time. His jaw works once, like he is testing whether his mouth still knows how to form words. Then he closes his eyes. For the first time in 11 days, Ravian Kaur sleeps. Hi viewers, have you ever had one person walk into your life and change the temperature of the whole room without even knowing they did it? Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now. Nobody on the 7th floor knows it happened. Nobody knows that the man who has not responded to a single neurological prompt, emotional assessment, or direct medical conversation, the man 3 departments have quietly labeled a non-responsive case, just had his first real sleep because a doctor danced when she thought no one was watching. Nobody knows. But by morning, Dr. Darian Wexler is standing outside Nyra's office with a manila folder in his hand and an expression that is too composed to be casual. And the folder has her name on it. The folder lands on her desk at 7:04 a.m. Wexler doesn't sit. He stands with his hands clasped behind him like a man delivering a verdict he has already decided and is only now narrating for the record. He is silver-haired, expensive-suited, and smiling in the way that certain men smile when they have already won something and are waiting for you to figure out what you lost. "Performance review," he says. "Routine." Nyra looks at the folder. Then at him. "My last review was 4 months ago. Circumstances change." He tilts his head. "Room 714. We feel another physician may be better suited to that patient's needs." Room 714 is Ravian Kaur's room. She keeps her face neutral. She has spent 11 years in hospitals learning to keep her face neutral. On what clinical basis? Non-engagement. Wexler smooths his jacket. The patient has shown no measurable response to your care protocol. We'd like to try a different approach. She opens the folder slowly. The language inside is careful. Reassignment for patient welfare, optimization of care strategy, departmental restructuring. Every word chosen to sound reasonable. Every sentence arranged to make resistance look like ego. She knows this language. She has seen its shape before, in rejection letters, in committee minutes, in the quiet restructuring of opportunities that were hers and then, without explanation, weren't. "I'll review it," she says. Wexler nods once. He is already moving toward the door. "By end of day, please." He leaves. She sits with the folder open in front of her, and does not move for 40 seconds. She counts them. It is a technique she developed in residency. 40 seconds of stillness before any reaction, because reactions made in the first 40 seconds of shock are almost always the wrong ones. On second 38, she remembers something. Last night. 2:47 a.m. room 714. She had been in the middle of a chart notation when she stopped, looked up, and felt, not heard, felt, a shift in the room. The quality of the silence had changed. She had looked at Ravian Kaur's face, and seen his eyes closed, and thought nothing of it. She pulls up the room's medical monitoring log on her computer. His sleep metrics. Last night, 2:51 a.m., the first recorded deep sleep cycle since admission. 4 hours and 17 minutes. Uninterrupted. She stares at the timestamp. 4 minutes after she left the room. She closes the monitoring log. Opens it again. Looks at every night before, fragmented readings, alert spikes, the jagged data of a man whose body refuses to rest. And then last night, a clean, long, unbroken line. She prints it. Folds it. Puts it in her coat pocket. Then she picks up her stethoscope and walks to room 714. Ravian Kaur is awake. He is sitting up slightly, the first postural change the nursing staff has documented since day 3. He is looking at the window. He does not look at her when she enters. She checks his vitals without speaking. Writes her notes. She is almost at the door when she stops and says, without turning around, "Your sleep improved last night." Silence. "That matters clinically," she adds. "I'm not going anywhere." She walks out. In the elevator going down, her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number, just 5 words. "They pulled your room access." She looks at the screen for a long time. She has not been formally reassigned yet. The review is due end of day. And someone already knows her access is being pulled. Someone inside this hospital is moving faster than the paperwork. Her access card still works at 8 a.m. She uses it. She goes to medical records. She pulls every chart notation, every nursing log, every specialist report filed on Ravian Kaur since admission. 11 days of documentation spread across the records room table, and she reads it the way she reads a difficult scan, slowly, without assumption, looking for what is actually there rather than what she expects. What she finds is a pattern. Every physician assigned to room 714 before her, 4 of them, lasted between 1 and 3 days before being rotated off the case. Stated reasons varied: scheduling conflicts, departmental need, patient request. But the patient has made no documented requests. He has made no documented anything. On paper, he is a man who simply exists in that room and refuses to participate in his own care. Except the vitals tell a different story. His blood pressure drops measurably during her shifts. His cortisol indicators are lowest on days she is his attending. The data is quiet but consistent, and consistency in medicine is never accidental. She photographs every page. She searches the case intake documentation next. The admitting physician was Dr. Harmon Teague, Vexler's direct subordinate. The emergency contact listed as a legal firm, not a person. The insurance filing references a holding company registered in Delaware with no public information attached to it. She writes the holding company name in her notebook. Writes Teague's name beside Vexler's. Draws a line between them. At 10:15 a.m. she is paged to a department meeting she did not know was scheduled. She walks into the conference room and finds 7 people seated, department heads, 2 administrators, and Vexler at the head of the table. The meeting is titled Patient Welfare Protocols for High-Sensitivity Cases. But the entire conversation circles one theme: the risk of inappropriate emotional investment between physicians and patients in extended non-responsive cases. No one says her name. No one mentions room 714. They don't have to. She sits through 40 minutes of it. She takes notes. She asks 2 procedural questions so precise that Vexler blinks both times before answering. She walks out without showing anything on her face. She goes directly to the one person in this hospital she trusts completely. Dr. Zoe Chempong, infectious disease, 4th floor, is eating a granola bar at her desk when Nyra comes in and closes the door. "Talk to me about Wexler," Nyra says. Zoe puts the granola bar down slowly. That pause, loaded, careful, tells Nyra everything about how deep this goes. "How much do you already know?" Zoe asks. "Enough to need more." Zoe opens her desk drawer. She pulls out a sealed envelope and holds it across the desk with both hands, the way you hold something you have been waiting to give someone for a long time. "This has nothing to do with your current patient," Zoe says quietly. "This is about Wexler. Specifically, about every black physician he has rotated off a high-sensitivity case in the last 3 years. I have been holding this for 3 months waiting for someone to ask the right question." She pauses. "You are the 4th doctor this has happened to. You are the first one still standing inside this building long enough to ask." Nyra takes the envelope. Her name is already written on the front. She opens it standing in Zoe's doorway because she cannot make herself sit down. Inside, internal communications, printed, dated, between Wexler, Teague, and 2 board members. The language is formal and clean and says nothing directly. But between the lines is this: the pattern of rotations is not accidental. It is managed, deliberate, executed through process so that no single decision looks like what all the decisions together clearly are. She is the 4th. What happened to the first 3? She requests a direct meeting with Wexler by 11 a.m., and he agrees immediately. That tells her something. His office is what she expected, not showy, but precise. The kind of space that communicates authority through restraint. Books selected for visibility. Awards placed at sideline. He is standing when she enters, which is a performance of welcome that is really a performance of height. She sits. She has decided not to perform anything. No warmth, no aggression. Just precision. "I am reviewing a pattern in the rotation history for room 714, she says. "I have identified your name at the decision point for every physician reassignment on that case. I wanted to speak with you directly." He absorbs this without flinching. He is good. She gives him that. "I appreciate your directness," he says, folding his hands. "Though I have to say, physician rotation decisions involve multiple factors. I sit on a number of advisory bodies. My name appears in many institutional decisions. The rotation of Dr. Camille Osei-Bonsu in 2022, she says. Dr. Tariq Mensah-Boateng in 2023. The reassignment protocol submitted this morning under my name." She keeps her voice even. "Same language, same structure. Different physicians." Something shifts behind his eyes. Not guilt. Calculation. "I understand why patterns can feel personal," he says with the smooth steadiness of a man who has rehearsed this specific response. "But each of those processes had objective criteria. You are a talented physician, Dr. Cade. No one disputes that. But talent is not the only variable. Timing, departmental fit, patient-specific needs." He pauses. "Then, you were not excluded. You just were not the right fit for this particular case." There it is. That sentence. That exact construction. She has heard it shaped before, different words, same architecture. A sentence built to take your evidence and hand it back to you as your own sensitivity. To make documentation feel like paranoia. To make pattern recognition feel like personal grievance. She does not react. She stands. "I will need the formal documentation for each rotation decision by end of business," she says, "including the clinical rationale filed for each reassignment." At the door, she stops. "One question. The informal advisory committee overseeing extended non-responsive cases, which charter governs it?" He answers without pausing. "It is an informal advisory group. Standard practice." She nods. Walks out. She is 3 steps down the corridor when it hits her, cold and clarifying. She said informal advisory committee overseeing extended non-responsive cases. A phrase broad enough to mean a dozen different things. He answered it immediately. Specifically. He knew exactly which committee she meant before she described it. Which means he has been tracking how far she has mapped this. Her left hand closes into a fist at her side and stays there all the way to the elevator. This is not about patient welfare. It never was. And Wexler just confirmed, without meaning to, that whatever this is, it is coordinated well above the level of one department head making routine rotation calls. She gets in the elevator. Presses the button for the 4th floor. She needs to know what happened to the physicians before her. All 3 of them. And she needs to know it before Wexler finishes whatever move he started this morning. The offer arrives by 3 p.m. the same day. A formal letter, hand-delivered to her office by Wexler's assistant, a soft-spoken man named Garrett who always looks like he is carrying something heavier than whatever is in his hands. The letter is from the hospital's executive medical board. She is being offered a position on the institution's new Cardiac Innovation Task Force. Prestigious. The kind of appointment that resets a career trajectory, opens grant pathways, puts your name on research that actually changes outcomes. The letter uses the word distinguished twice. She reads it standing at her desk and feels, for approximately 90 seconds, the specific pull of something that looks exactly like recognition, like the system correcting itself, finally placing her where she should have been years ago. 90 seconds. That is all she allows it. She sits down and reads the letter again. All the way through, including every attachment, the task force charter, the participation terms, the communications addendum. Paragraph 9 of the communications addendum. All external publications, conference presentations, and institutional communications by task force members must be submitted for board review prior to release for a period of 36 months. 36 months of reviewed communication. Under a board whose membership is not listed by name anywhere in the document. She opens the task force charter. Searches the founding signatures. Darian Wexler. Co-chair. She puts the letter down and sits very still and thinks about what it means to be offered exactly what you want at exactly the moment you become inconvenient. It is not a reward. It is a cage built to look like a door. She texts Zoe one word, paragraph 9. Zoe's response comes in under a minute, don't touch it. She already knows. But seeing it confirmed by the one person in this building she trusts makes the decision land clean. Not lighter. Cleaner. She goes to room 714. It is 4:30 p.m. The room is warm with late light coming through the half-open blinds. Ravian Kaur is awake, sitting up slightly, looking at the window the way he always looks at the window, not like a man watching the world, like a man deciding whether the world is still worth watching. She checks his chart. Updates his medication notes. She is aware, in the back of her mind, that this may be one of the last times she walks into this room with full authority. That by tomorrow morning, Garrett may be delivering something with very different language. She finishes her notes. She is at the door. You dance badly. She stops. The voice is low. Measured. A little rough from 11 days of near silence. But clear. She turns slowly. Ravian Kaur is looking directly at her. Not at the window. Not at the ceiling. At her. His dark eyes are steady and something behind his face has shifted. A door opened just barely, 1 inch, by a man who has kept every door and himself locked for a very long time. She stares at him. He holds her gaze. The spin, he says. The footwork needs work. Her mouth opens. Closes. For the first time in 11 years of medicine, Dr. Nyra Cade does not know what to say. She laughs, a real one, startled completely out of her. One short burst of sound she covers with her hand immediately. And the man who has not spoken in 11 days watches her laugh and something in his shoulders drops a fraction. And it is the most human thing she has witnessed in this building in months. She takes one breath. Good night, Mr. Kaur. She walks out. She is halfway to the elevator when her phone buzzes. A second communication from the hospital's legal office. Her access to room 714 is suspended, effective 6 a.m. tomorrow, pending departmental review of patient-physician boundary protocols. Her hand tightens around the phone. He just spoke for the first time in 11 days. And someone inside this hospital already knows it happened. By 6 a.m. her badge clears the 7th floor and opens room 714 one final time before the suspension kicks in. She knows she has maybe 4 minutes. She walks in. Ravian is already awake. She is starting to understand that he is always awake before the rest of the floor knows the day has started. He is sitting up fully now, both feet on the floor beside the bed, which is the most upright she has seen him since admission. He looks at her the way he has looked at her since last night, direct, measuring, completely unashamed of the fact that he is studying her. She pulls up his chart on the wall tablet. Her fingers move fast. "I am being pulled from your case today," she says. No build-up. No softening. Administrative decision. Effective this morning. He says nothing. But something shifts behind his eyes, a tightening, fast and controlled, the expression of a man who has received bad news before and has learned exactly how much of his reaction to show. "Your sleep is improving," she continues, still moving through his chart. "Blood pressure is down. Inflammation markers are responding. Clinically, you are moving in the right direction." She pauses. Looks at him directly. "Whatever you are doing, keep doing it." He holds her gaze. "Who made the decision?" 4 words. Low and even. But she hears the weight behind them, a man filing information. Categorizing. "Dr. Wexler," she says. Ravian Kaur's face does not move. But the quality of his stillness changes, the way a room changes when the temperature drops 2 degrees. You do not see it. You feel it on your skin. She closes the chart. She is at the door when he speaks again. "Dr. Cade." She turns. He looks at her for a long moment. "You should be careful." She almost says, "Careful of what?" She stops herself. Because the way he says it is not a warning about the hospital. It is a warning about something he knows that she does not yet. And men like Ravian Kaur do not issue warnings they do not mean. "So should you," she says. She walks out. By 9 a.m. 2 things happen simultaneously, and neither one is coincidental. The first, her name is removed from the 7th floor attending roster without formal departmental notification, which violates the hospital's own reassignment protocol by a minimum of 48 hours. The second, Dr. Zoa Champong is called into an unscheduled meeting with hospital HR about a documentation discrepancy in a case from 14 months ago, a case so old and so resolved that the only reason to surface it now is to occupy Zoe's morning and keep her away from Nyra. Nyra stands in the 4th floor corridor outside Zoe's closed door and understands, with cold clarity, that this system does not improvise. It executes. It has been executing for years, on physicians before her, in rooms she never knew about, on careers that collapsed so quietly no one thought to connect them. She pulls out her phone. Opens the envelope documents Zoe gave her. For physician names. She starts with the first, Dr. Camille Osebansu. Cardiology fellow. Left this hospital 18 months ago. Left medicine entirely, according to a LinkedIn profile last updated in 2021. She finds a phone number in an old conference program and calls it. It rings 6 times. Then, "Hello?" The voice is careful. Guarded in the way voices get when they have learned that unexpected calls carry unexpected costs. "Dr. Osebansu. My name is Dr. Nyra Cade. I am calling from Meridian General. I think you and I had the same problem." A silence so long Nyra thinks the call has dropped. Then, "How far have you gotten?" Nyra closes her eyes for 1 second. "Far enough to need to go further." "Then listen carefully," Camille says. "Because I only say this once. Wexler is not the ceiling. He is the floor." The call cuts. Nyra stares at her phone. If Wexler is the floor, what is above him? She finds the answer on page 4 of the hospital's founding donor archive, which is public record and has been sitting on the institution's own website for 11 years without anyone thinking it mattered. The Cordelacroix Foundation. Lead founding donor. $42 million. Dated 2013. Core. She sits with that word at her kitchen table at midnight with 3 empty coffee cups beside her, and her notebook open to a page that is running out of room. Raviencourt's family foundation helped build this hospital. Which means this institution, its board, its executive structure, its carefully maintained culture of quiet exclusion, was constructed in part with money that carries his name. And Wexler, the man running its internal power structure, is not simply an administrator making rotation decisions. He is managing access to the man whose family funded the building he works in. She goes back through the intake documentation with new eyes. The Delaware Holding Company, she searches it again deeper, through 3 layers of registered agents, until she finds it. Delacroix Capital Management. Connected to the Delacroix Foundation by a shared board member whose name appears in both filings. Someone used Ravien's own institutional connections to place him here. Someone who knew that this hospital, with its specific board composition and internal advisory structure, would be the perfect place to keep a man contained, not imprisoned, not visibly controlled, just managed. Accessible. Monitored. Wexler does not want Ravien gone. He wants Ravien compliant. And a patient who has been silent for 11 days, who will not eat, will not engage, will not respond to anyone, is a patient who cannot be leveraged. He is no use to anyone in that condition. Until Nyra. She stands up from the table so fast her chair scrapes the floor. She walks to her window. The city is dark and wet, and she presses one hand flat against the glass and breathes. They did not pull her because she was failing. They pulled her because she was the only one succeeding. She calls Zoe at 12:40 a.m. Zoe answers on the first ring. The foundation, Nyra says. I know, Zoe says. How long? Since the second physician was rotated off his case. I started pulling the same threads you are pulling now. A pause. Nyra. There are people on this hospital's board who have direct financial relationships with entities connected to that patient's family network. If Raviencourt starts talking, really talking, the wrong people inside this building find out things they are not supposed to know. So they keep him isolated. They keep anyone who can reach him away from him. Zoe says. You are not the problem. You are the threat. Nyra turns from the window. She looks at her notebook wall, the timeline, the names, the lines drawn between them. She thought she was documenting a pattern of racial exclusion inside one hospital system. And she is. That is entirely real and it stands on its own. But underneath it, connected to it, running through it like a second current, is something that involves a man in a private room on the 7th floor whose silence is not grief. It is self-protection. She photographs every notebook page. Backs it up to 2 external devices and 1 encrypted cloud account that has never touched the hospital's network. Then she searches Raviencourt's real name, the one she found 3 hours ago in the Foundation archive, listed as a board signatory. What comes up on the screen makes her set her phone down very slowly and stare at the wall for a long time. Because the man in room 714, the man she danced in front of, the man who told her her footwork needed work, the man whose first real sleep in 11 days came 4 minutes after she left his room, is the reason 3 separate federal investigations into 2 financial networks were opened in the last 4 years. Every single one was closed before trial. She stops reacting on a Wednesday. She makes the decision the way she makes surgical decisions, not emotionally, not dramatically, just a clean internal shift from one mode to another. Reacting to Wexler's moves costs her energy and gives him information. Every visible pushback shows him how much she knows and lets him adjust. She has been showing her hand without meaning to. She stops. She goes to work. She smiles at the right people. She attends every meeting she is invited to, sits in the 3rd chair from the left, takes notes, and asks 0 questions that reveal anything. She submits her reassignment acknowledgement, 1 clean professional sentence, without protest. On the outside, she looks like a woman who has accepted the situation. On the inside, she is building something that cannot be managed, rotated, or quietly dissolved. She contacts Dr. Camille Oslo again. This time the call goes longer. Camille left medicine 18 months ago after a grant she had developed over 3 years was absorbed into a research body she had no access to. She has kept documentation the entire time, emails, committee minutes, a paper trail maintained because she knew, even then, that the day would come when someone needed it. She overnight mails everything to a P.O. box Nyra sets up under her mother's maiden name. The second physician in Zoe's envelope is Dr. Tariq Mensah-Boateng, former surgical fellow, now practicing privately in Atlanta after a credentialing delay that took 14 months to resolve and was never formally explained. He answers Nyra's email within 2 hours. He has been waiting for exactly this kind of contact. He attaches 7 documents. The third is harder. Dr. Imani Sarpoon-Watts. The trail goes cold in 2021. No hospital affiliation. No updated professional listings. Nyra spends 2 evenings searching before finding a single recent publication, a community health paper, self-published, out of a small clinic in Memphis with no institutional backing. She emails her anyway. No response. Not yet. What she is building is not a confrontation. It is a case, the kind that does not depend on one person's testimony or one document that can be challenged. It is a pattern documented across multiple physicians, multiple years, multiple institutional decisions, all connected by the same names appearing at the same decision points with the same outcomes. The kind of case that, once submitted to the right body, cannot be quietly managed by a committee that does not officially exist. Ravian has a new attending now, Dr. Fletcher Huang, competent and careful and completely unable to reach him. The nursing notes Zoe passes to Nyra quietly, through a method neither of them discusses, show what she already suspected. Ravian has stopped sleeping again. Blood pressure climbing. Cortisol indicators back to admission levels. Eating barely enough to keep his 4 from being upgraded. Medically, he is moving backward, undoing 11 days of progress in 4 days of her absence. She reads those nursing notes at her kitchen table and feels something she refuses to name fully because naming it will complicate decisions that need to stay clean. She folds the notes. Places them in the case file. Then she does the one thing she has not allowed herself to do since her access was suspended. She writes him a note. 1 paragraph. Clinical on the surface, a follow-up observation about sleep hygiene and cortisol regulation. Professional enough to pass through any review. But the last line reads, "The footwork is fine. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise." She seals it. Gives it to Deja Nolan, the one night shift nurse on the 7th floor who has been watching Vexler's rotations with quiet fury for 2 years and needs no explanation about why this note needs to arrive without being logged. She does not know if he reads it. She does not hear back. But the next morning, Zoe texts her a single screenshot. Ravian's overnight vitals. Sleep cycle. 4 hours. Uninterrupted. The journalist finds her first. Her name is Priya, freelance, 15 years in investigative medical reporting, the kind of journalist who does not call unless she already has enough to make the call worth something. She reaches Nyra through a contact Nyra did not give her, which means someone inside this building has been watching Nyra's work and quietly decided to build a bridge. They meet in a coffee shop 12 blocks from the hospital on a Thursday morning. Within 4 minutes of conversation, Nyra understands that Priya has sources inside 2 of the institutional bodies named in her documentation. She has the structural connections, the Cordella-Croix Foundation's relationship to the hospital board, the advisory committee's unregistered legal status, the pattern of physician removals going back 3 years. What she does not have is the documented pattern across multiple physicians. The names. The timelines. The paper trail Camille and Tariq mailed to a P.O. box in Nyra's mother's maiden name. Nyra has all of it. She sits across from Priya and the case file is in her bag, and she does not open the bag for the first 40 minutes of their conversation. Because she is working through the choice in real time, not whether to act. That decision was made the morning Vexler put a folder on her desk with her name on it. The choice is how much, in what form, and who gets protected and who does not. Full exposure means every name in the documentation goes public. The architects, Wexler, Teague, the board members. But also the junior committee members. Physicians who voted the way their network expected without fully understanding they were dismantling careers. Some of them are doing research that matters. Some of them have residents depending on them. Some of them are, in other rooms and other contexts, trying to do good work inside a structure that rewarded certain choices without announcing what those choices cost other people. She thinks about Dr. Imani Sarpongwats in Memphis. Running a community clinic alone. Self-publishing research that should be in peer-reviewed journals. Invisible to the field she was trained to lead. She thinks about Camille Osei-Bonsu, who left medicine entirely. Power is not proven by how much you destroy. It is proven by what you choose to preserve. She opens her bag. Places a folder on the table. "This is what I am giving you," she says. "The structural documentation. The committee's legal status. The foundation connections. The outcome pattern across 4 physicians. Wexler's role as the decision-maker in every rotation." She pauses. "What I am not giving you is the full personnel list below principal decision-maker level." Priya looks at the folder. Then at her. "You are protecting people who did not protect you. I am protecting people who did not build it," Nyra says. "Those are different things." Priya opens the folder and reads the first 2 pages without speaking. When she looks up, she says, "This is enough." The piece runs in 17 days. Darian Wexler is removed from his advisory positions at the hospital board and 2 external institutional bodies within 1 week of publication. The removal is quiet. No press conference. No public statement beyond a 3-sentence acknowledgement of leadership restructuring. The advisory committee is formally dissolved and replaced with a chartered body under state medical board oversight. No one outside a very small circle knows what drove it. Nyra is sitting in her car in the hospital parking structure the evening the restructuring is announced, reading the 3-sentence statement on her phone, when a text arrives from an unknown number. 7 words, "You saw it all. Why did you not burn it?" She reads it 3 times. Not Priya. Not Zoe. Not Camille. She types back one question: "Who is this?" The message shows as read within seconds. No response. But 30 minutes later, as she pulls out of the parking structure, her phone buzzes one final time. A photograph. No caption. No explanation. It is a screenshot of the hospital's internal directory, time-stamped 40 minutes ago. Her name is back on the 7th floor attending roster. She walks into room 714 at 7 a.m., and he is sitting on the edge of the bed fully dressed. Not in a hospital gown. In his own clothes, dark shirt, dark pants, the deliberate dressing of a man who has made a decision. His 2 men are inside the room now instead of outside it, and they look at her when she enters with the specific assessment of people recalibrating a threat level downward. Ravian looks at her the way he has looked at her since the night she danced, direct, without performance, with the full weight of someone who sees more than he says. "You are back," he says. "I am back," she says. She pulls the tablet from the wall. Checks his vitals. The numbers are not where she wants them yet. 4 days of backward progress do not erase in one morning, but the direction has shifted. He is trending right again. She works through his chart without speaking for 2 minutes. Then, "You knew about the foundation." Not a question. He is quiet for a moment. "Yes." "And the board members?" "Yes." She looks up from the tablet. "Did you know they were using it to keep you here?" He holds her gaze. "I had a theory. A beat. You confirmed it." She puts the tablet down. She stands at the foot of his bed and looks at him, and there is so much in the room right now, the weight of what she built, what she chose, what she preserved, what it cost, that she takes one breath just to keep the weight from showing on her face. "You are medically stable enough for discharge within the week," she says. "I want 2 more days of monitored sleep data. I want your blood pressure down 4 more points. And I want you eating actual food, not whatever Deja has been smuggling in from the vending machine." His mouth moves. That same fraction of shift she saw on the very first night. the one she missed because she thought he was asleep. Except this time it goes all the way. Slowly. Until it is, unmistakably, a real smile. Small and controlled and entirely his, but real. The granola bars are fine, he says. They are medically inadequate, she says. Dr. Cade. Mr. Core. He looks at her for a long moment. Something in his face opens, not dramatically, not with the kind of emotion that announces itself loudly. Just a quiet opening. The way a window opens when someone finally works a latch that has been stuck for years. What you did, he says. The way you did it. She waits. Most people, when they find what you found, they burn it, he says. They want everyone to see the fire. He pauses. You chose differently. Some things do not need fire, she says. They need to be taken apart carefully and rebuilt correctly. He is quiet for a moment that feels longer than it is. I have spent a long time in rooms where people wanted something from me. Money. Access. Silence. Leverage. His voice carries the specific weight of someone who has never said these words out loud before. You walked in here and wanted nothing except to do your job. She looks at him steadily. That is the job. Not for everyone, he says. She picks up her stethoscope. She moves to check his heart rate, clinical, necessary, the ordinary work of medicine that she will never stop finding meaningful. He is very still as she places the stethoscope against his chest. His heartbeat is strong and steady. A little fast. Not from illness. She steps back. Makes her notation. I will see you tomorrow morning, she says. I will be here, he says. She is 3 steps from the door when he speaks one more time. Dr. Cade. The dancing. A pause, and she can hear underneath it something that is almost warmth. Something a man allows when he has decided, carefully and against long habit, to trust someone. Do not stop. She does not turn around. But she smiles, a real one, facing the door, just for herself. She walks out into the corridor, and the morning is ordinary and bright, and completely changed. Justice does not always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like a system that has been running unchallenged for years finally being taken apart piece by piece, quietly, by the one person it underestimated. Sometimes it looks like a man who has not slept in 11 days finally sleeping. Sometimes it looks like your name appearing back on a roster at 6 a.m. with no announcement, and no applause. Sometimes it looks like doing your job so well that the people who tried to remove you had no choice but to put you back. 3 days later, Dr. Imani Sarpongwat's emails back. One line, I heard what you did. I am ready to talk. Nyra reads it twice. Writes back immediately. Sets up the call. She is closing her laptop when she notices something in the metadata of the case file she submitted, the access log she checks out of habit, because data tells you things people do not. A new access point. Timestamp 4 days ago. An IP address she has not seen before. She runs it through the hospital's network directory. It traces to a login credential registered to Meridian General's new board restructuring committee, the body formed to replace the dissolved advisory group. Officially assembled 8 days ago. Still being staffed. Someone on that new committee accessed her documentation before the committee was even fully formed. She stares at the screen. The access pattern is different from the old one. Not the movement of someone trying to suppress her work. The movement of someone who read every page and then read it again. Someone studying it. Someone who understood exactly what it took to build it and why it was built the way it was. Someone now watching from inside a structure that did not exist before she started pulling threads. She saves the access log. Opens a new file. Picks up her pen. She starts a new page. Because the system adapted, it always does. But she is no longer mapping it from the outside. And she is no longer mapping it alone. Hello besties, and welcome back. If this story moved you, if you have ever been the most qualified person in the room and still been made to feel like you did not belong there, this one was for you. Dr. Nyra Cade did not burn it down. She rebuilt it better, smarter, and on her own terms. That takes more strength than fire ever will. If you are new here, please subscribe right now and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story that challenges you, inspires you, and refuses to stay quiet. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And in the comments, I want to know, have you ever stayed silent about something that was done to you because you knew that speaking up would cost you more than staying quiet? Drop your answer below. Your story might be the one that changes someone else's life. See you in the next chapter.